Welcome to Balanced Life with Debbie Carlin Boyle. Conversations connecting to a healthier you. The show that gives you all the latest and greatest health and wellness information to inspire you to live a life of balance and joy. Debbie Carlin Boyle is a health and nutrition coach, personal trainer, and fitness instructor who helps her clients live in balance with everything that feeds us, in addition to the food on our plate. Please welcome your host, Debbie Carlin Boyle.
Today, it is one of the most gorgeous days that I've ever seen here in Southern California. We're out in beautiful downtown Burbank, and the drive here is gorgeous, partly because we've had some rain. It clears all our smog out. It's just beautiful. So if you're watching live, know that we're in, and I think we're in the mid-60s today, aren't we? Yeah, we're really lucky. Anyway, I welcome you if you're watching live, and if you're not, and you're watching the show later, this is some good information for you, so I want you to stick around. And remember, we are a show that says conversations that connect to a healthier you, but I like you to become part of the conversation too. So right away, I'm just going to invite you to call in if you have a question or a comment with whatever my guest and I are talking about. We want you to chime in. So the number here is area code 323-524-2599. And again, 323-524-2599. Now, if you can't call in or you're not watching live, but you still have a question or a comment, you are welcome to go to my Facebook page, Balanced Life by Debbie, DEBI, or my YouTube channel, where we're streaming live on both platforms, where under the comment section, you can ask a question, make a comment after the fact, after we shoot live. And we keep these conversations going on and on and on, even years. I have hundreds of shows that I've done so far, and I'm still getting comments and questions from shows that I've done maybe 6-7 years ago. So don't hesitate. You probably want to chime in. Go ahead. We want to hear from you. We also want to hear from you after the show. Make a comment or ask a question after the show. We want just to tell us what you thought about it or add anything in addition to. We love to hear from you. I also want to tell you just a little bit about myself before we get going. I am, as you heard from the top of the show, personal trainer, a fitness instructor, and a health and nutrition coach. So what does that mean? It means that I help people find alignment and balance, kind of get everything in place with all the things that feed us, in addition to the food that we eat. We're going to talk about one of those things that's really important to get our environment and toxicity in our environment that's all around us, and how to sort of combat that. And it's kind of like we're at a war a little bit, and we have to fight to be healthy in that respect. But there are so many other things that come into play. And it always helps when you can start, when you want to make a change, but you don't know where to start, to work with a professional, somebody who has the education, has the patience, has the know-how to help you make small, sustainable changes that will last a lifetime, to get you on the road to longevity with quality, to age young, and to find that ultimate joy and happiness. That's my goal for you, and I know it's hard to try to put those things in place for yourself. So to get a hold of me, you want to go to my website, which is Balanced Life by Debbie, DEBI.com. Right away, when you go to the website, there's going to be a pop-up, and it's going to say, welcome to your winter detox. And if you just hit and put your email in and download, what's going to happen is you're going to get a meal plan for 3 days, 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that are going to make you feel light on your feet and help you do a reset for these winter months with the weather kind of changing. I know the East Coast right now that have been in such big storms, now they're going to be going into a winter heat wave. This messes with your body, and messes with things that are out there that could want a grip on, well, the best thing that you can do for yourself is to keep your gut healthy, because guess what? That's where your immune system lives. So go ahead, take that detox. It's not so much, it's really delicious recipes, and there's a market list, and then there's everything is broken down on how to prepare it. It's fast, it's easy, it's will satiate you, and believe me, after those 3 days, you're going to be happy you made that change. So that's on me. I hope you reach out. Say hi any way you can, because I would love to hear from you. So I have a great show for you today, and I'm going to get on with the introductions right now. Recently, I read this disheartening fact that 2 million people will be diagnosed with cancer this year, the most ever, due to rising rates in those under 50. This is so disturbing, since I have kids and a grandchild, and I'm wondering what is going on and what can we do about changing these rising rates. My guest today, David Steinman, has those answers. David is an award-winning journalist who has written best-selling and critically acclaimed books on the environment and health. His work is in the area of safe cosmetics, taken from the forthcoming book, Raising Healthy Kids, is featured in the Max documentary, Not So Pretty. He is also the full-time chief officer of the nonprofit Chemical Toxin Working Group, also known as the Healthy Living Foundation, a public interest environmental and consumer advocacy organization that takes legal action and litigates on behalf of consumers and the environment. A question most parents want to know: am I buying products for my child that are filled with chemical toxins? In his powerful new book, Raising Healthy Children, David shows how today's most popular items, from bubble bath to cereal to cleaning products to snack foods, are contaminated with unacceptable levels of chemical toxins and pesticides, and he proposes alternatives and substitutes to keep your family healthy and safe. So it's time to hear all about it. So will you help me welcome my guest, David Steinman, to the show? Hello, David.
Hi, Debbie. It's good to be here today.
You're in studio. I forgot to tell the audience that we have an in-studio guest. Yeah. Look, he's right here across from me. I'm so excited. I love when people come in the studio. I feel like there's a better connection and bond and the discussion we're about to have and the whole thing. So you came from Topanga Canyon. Was it just beautiful there today?
Oh, aren't we lucky to be living in Southern California? It's a beautiful day.
It's
from
gorgeous.
The Hollywood Hills to the Pacific Ocean.
It is. And I think everybody today is feeling very blessed that live here in Southern California. I, again, thank you for coming in today. And I really want to get into, because I do have a lot of questions for you about your new book and, this toxic environment that we live in and what we can do about it, because you have the answers. Because a lot of people, if you're not informed, or even if you are informed, you feel a little helpless, so you don't do anything about it, and that just aids to the problem and it becomes bigger. So we're going to dig into that. But before we do, I'd like to get to your origin story. You and I chatted a little bit before we came on air that we're both Southern California kids, but elaborate on that, because I'm really interested to hear from your young childhood what got you into doing what you're doing today and all the great work that you've got going.
Well, a lot of people who are listening to the show here in Southern California particularly know about our Santa Monica Bay. When I grew up, I fished often in the bay, like every weekend, and brought the fish home and my family would eat them. Little did I know that the Montrose Chemical Company was manufacturing DDT in south central Los Angeles and barging their waste sludge into the Catalina Channel and dumping it into the waters there. They dumped about 2,000 tons of DDT-laced waste sludge, and it contaminated the entire ecosystem. When I was about when I began my journalism career, I was reporting actually for the LA Weekly newspaper here.
Wait, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Did anybody in your family get sick and you didn't know the origin of their illness during the time that you were young from eating this fish that was tainted with DDT?
Well, we, if you're asking about cancer, we have a history of cancer in our family.
Okay.
And personally, I discovered a high amount of DDT in my own body when I was reporting for the LA Weekly. We did a study and took the blood of about 30 men and women who were fishing, either catching locally caught fish or not eating any locally caught fish at all. As it turned out, the people who ate the locally caught fish had very high levels of DDT and PCBs. I had taken my own blood sample and found out that I was one of the people who had very high levels of DDT. So I began at that point trying to figure out what I could do to stop being poisoned. Along the way, by the way, my team testified before the Congressional Subcommittee on Health and the Environment and a state committee, and we got the Santa Monica Bay designated as a Superfund site, which has led to its cleanup over the last 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
And that was because of our investigative work. But on a more personal level, people were asking me, well, what is safe to eat? Is my hamburger safe to eat? How about my lettuce? And they really wanted these answers, and that led me to write my first book, which was a bestseller, Diet for a Poisoned Planet.
Let's go back just a little bit. So when you were younger and you started your journalism career, what made you segue into the environment and journalism for what was it? What was the aha moment that you said, this is what I'm meant to be doing? Was it something, did somebody or a group get sick from something? What did something that you were reporting on? What was the moment?
So I think there are two things. One, growing up, I did a lot of outdoor activities in the mountains, in the Sierra Nevada mountains with my family, out to the Mojave Desert, all the things we do here in Southern California. And like a lot of writers, I grew up loving nature and probably just had it in me unconsciously that I wanted to be a naturalist, someone like Theodore Roosevelt, or someone who just I loved nature and I wanted to be out there.
Okay.
But when I began to see all the pollution on the shores of our own beaches here in Southern California, I realized, it's really messed up. It's really messed up. And I kept asking, can I do anything? So I was a journalist reporting, but my reporting wasn't having enough of an impact.
Okay.
And in around 2010, we began testing products. And I found a really high amount of a chemical that caused cancer in Procter & Gamble's herbal essences and Pantene shampoos. And only I knew about it. I held a press conference in Washington, D.C. to announce my findings, and still the company wouldn't change. So I went to the law, and I found a law in California called Proposition 65. It was passed in 1986, and it allows citizens to sue companies that aren't disclosing harmful chemicals in their products. And I worked with an attorney, and I sued Procter & Gamble and won, and forced them to reduce the amount of that carcinogen in their product by over 90%.
Wow.
And we won that
Bravo.
case, and I felt that we were now making progress. So my journalism kind of morphed into activism because I had all this information that nobody else knew about. And I knew if I didn't act personally, it wouldn't get done.
I love that. Wow. We need more people like you. That's because these companies, I mean, when we talk about things like Roundup, like the Monsanto-driven carcinogenic that is in our food supply because they use it, I mean, we'll get into that. But these companies knew before they even what they were putting out there. They knew that they were dangerous, and yet they didn't disclose. It's the same kind of thing, like I guess with what happened with tobacco and the tobacco companies. But this is a travesty, and if there aren't people like you to bring them to the forefront and to shed a light on what they're doing wrong, then nothing's going to change. So it's really wonderful. Thank you for that, for all of us.
You know, it really impacts people's health. I'll give you another situation that we're involved with right now. About a year and a half ago, my nonprofit in Washington, D.C. sued Johnson's Baby Products. Johnson's has an entire campaign, and this is important information for your audience. If anyone is listening, you need to hear this. If you have little kids and you're giving them baths, Johnson's whole advertising campaign for all their baby products is based on no phthalates. Phthalates are a microplastic that are used to hold in fragrances, to kind of increase the flexibility of liquid, to make it a little more viscous. But they're also very dangerous to our kids, because when kids are exposed to them during pregnancy or during early infancy, the phthalates interfere with the development of their brain and their reproductive organs.
And their endocrine system.
Absolutely. They're endocrine disruptors.
Yeah, yep, big time.
So Johnson's has this whole campaign called No Phthalates. We sued them because we discovered phthalates in almost every one of their products.
So
multiple
they lied.
Phthalates. Oh, they lied. They lied. Not only did they lie, they have no testing. We discover they just don't test. They just don't test. They don't test. They don't test their products.
I thought that, so I'm a little confused, because you would think that there are laws that they have to test and then show the results, and that there is some kind of accountability backup, somebody who is not working for them. So
only if you get caught.
Yeah.
So
they took the risk.
Yeah. So what's happening with a company like them is they're claiming that all the raw materials they receive, they're saying, you know, when companies make claims like no phthalates, you have to be really concerned about it, because in our testing, we've discovered a lot of companies make these claims.
Yeah. When they're on the labels. They're on a lot of labels.
That's the problem. And they're relying on third parties to verify their claims, but the third parties are the companies supplying their raw materials.
Yeah.
It's a real mess. So we sued them in court. But the problem is about 20 million people use Johnson's Baby products in the United States.
Yeah.
And
I told my daughter to stop. And she started to use them in the beginning, not baby powder, obviously, but she was using the shampoo because it's the no-tear shampoo.
Exactly.
And so, you know, that's the big deal. Don't get anything in the baby's eyes. So there are so many alternatives to that have no tears, that don't have the crap in it. So I got her, she instantly switched to the Honest products and became really conscientious.
So that's one of the things I try to teach in raising healthy kids, how to protect your children from hidden chemical toxins. My new book that'll be out in a few months with Skyhorse is how do you find the safe shampoo for your baby? How do you find the safe bubble bath? And I tell you how to do that and what to be skeptical of. Like, be skeptical of the no phthalate claim when you buy products. But do look for certified organic ingredients. They're not perfect, but you know what?
It's better.
It's a lot better for you, and we need that.
Yeah, let's get into that. So you've, you know, I realize we jumped over because I made you go back, but you started to tell me about your first book and the reason why you wrote it and what it was about, and then we'll kind of segue to where you're at now. And we'll talk about. I think it's really important that people get informed and get educated and then take action, because companies won't change unless they see a consumer shift.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and what we're being sold, and that's part of the reason why I left the television commercial business, is because I was being a hypocrite. I was living the lifestyle of health and wellness, and yet I was out there making my money on soft drinks, which are horrible for you, alcohol, fast food, you name it, anything that could cause havoc in your body, I was helping to sell and making a living at. It's not the only reason why I left, but it is a big reason, because I was a hypocrite and I didn't want to be that. So I got very educated on what I thought was important for myself and my family. And I think if we all start there, then you can make a bigger difference and do things like what you did, start going more global on that. But you wrote your first book. What was the name of your first book? And
Diet for a Poison Planet.
And what did it contain? What was this book about?
Well, that was my look at what we eat. And my book was the first to show you just how pesticide saturated our food had become by the 1990s. But you mentioned, Debbie, making markets and creating markets. Our shopping choices created the organic market.
Yes, it did. That's the power of the consumer. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
And it's so important for you and me and everyone listening to the show to realize the power that we have to change things, despite Washington's inability to make good laws, despite all the negativity in the world. Our personal choices are not only good for our personal health and our kids' health, like when you told your daughter, don't buy the Johnson's baby products. You were so smart because they were going to hurt her kids, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we can buy certified organic products, because we those of us who are a little older created that market with our shopping dollars. And instead of getting discouraged, I really remind people, look how far we have come.
Yeah.
And keep that positive attitude. Because, Debbie, we have made so many positive changes for everyone else coming up now.
Yeah, I've been reading about it. And, I follow functional medicine doctors and listen to all the podcasts and things. And, I realized that consumers have a voice, just like voters have a voice, people. So keep that in mind. It's an election year. And we can make a difference. We really can. And one of the things, it's the environmental, is it the Watch Agency, the EWP or EWA agency, where they have been instrumental with food, getting the Dirty Dozen out there and the Clean 15. So that gives you a base, a start. And anybody can go onto the website and they can find, or you can just Google Clean 15, and you'll see the 15 vegetables and fruits and products that are in their natural form, that you don't necessarily have to buy organic, that are okay to eat. Maybe use a vegetable wash or something with them. And then there's the Dirty Dozen, and those are the ones that absorb the most chemicals and no matter what, can become very toxic to your body. Because keep in mind, what you eat is, a direct hit. Whatever goes in your gut is going to either help you or harm you. So you want to put the things that are going to help you in there. And I think that the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen came about specifically because of consumer demand and what this agency was doing in light of trying to help people have a better understanding and education of what's going on with our food supply. So, yes, I wholeheartedly endorse what you're doing in the book. What should people, when we talk about organic, right, there's a lot of controversy over organic. Organic should be certified, because anybody can say organic, but it has to be certified, which means it has to meet all this criteria, correct? Am I right about that?
Well, organic should be certified. Let me put it to you this way. If I'm at a farmer's market and I talk about shopping at farmers markets, and I'm talking to a farmer and they're not certified organic, but I talk to them and they tell me they don't use pesticides, I will generally believe them.
Yeah,
if I'm at a farmer's market.
Because I do all my shopping at farmers markets, and I only go to the ones that say certified organic because I'm not sure.
And on the other hand, when you buy certified organic foods, they do have to go through a rigorous process. It doesn't mean they're perfect, but it means overall, if you go for more certified organic foods over conventionally sourced, your exposure to organophosphate and other types of harmful pesticides will decrease remarkably.
Which is what we want to do. 100%, because we can't get rid of things 100%. It's all around us. When we go out to eat, sometimes we don't know the source of the food. But the things that you have control over can remarkably lower your chances of attracting any kind of disease, including, I mean, we're talking now, our food supply is so tainted that what I said at the top of the show, that younger and younger are getting cancers because everything's being thrown at us, and we're not we have to be our own personal advocates for ourselves and our families, because that's what's going to move the needle once again with what they're trying to sell us. And, ultra processed food is the worst thing that's out there, and it's everywhere. I mean, if something's in a package and it's not a 1 ingredient, 2 ingredients, let's say, then chances are it's processed, and you got to read labels. I think you tell us a little bit about your book. And you know what? We're going to take a quick break. We're actually going to take a quick break because we're got a sponsor. This is a good sponsor, and because it goes along with what we're talking about. We're going to come back and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the book and how it breaks down and what people can start doing besides buying organic. Okay, we'll be right back after this word from one of my sponsors. Without looking at labels, do you actually know what is in the cleaning products that you use in your home? If you haven't addressed this yet, it's likely that you are spraying toxic and dangerous chemicals in your home. 3 common ingredients that you want to avoid at all costs are ammonia, fragrance, and bleach. These ingredients and chemicals can contribute to chronic respiratory problems, allergic reactions, allergies, cancer, hormonal issues, headaches, and more. So what's the solution to a healthier, clean home for your family? Teas Organics all-purpose cleaner and room sprays. Tea's products are formulated with the power of an essential oil blend. Her all-purpose cleaner gives you a clean surface, shower, toilet, or simply just use it to spot clean or dust, and all without harsh chemicals. And to make it even better, Tea's Organics all-purpose cleaner uses 100% organic essential oils and has a sweet yet spicy herbal aroma with hints of citrus. Imagine a fresh, inviting scent and sparkling clean home that you know is free from toxic, potentially harmful, and cancer-causing chemicals. I use these products, and I can personally attest to all of the above. And right now, enjoy a 15% discount by applying 15DEBBI, DEBI, to your order. So check out these amazing products by Tea's Organics that are healthy for you and your home. All right, we're back. We're back with my guest today, and we're talking about kids living in a toxin-free environment world, and how we can make that happen with my guest, David Steinman, who has a book coming out. What's the name of your book, David?
Raising Healthy Kids, How to Protect Your Children from Hidden Chemical Toxins. It'll be out in the March-April timeframe.
In the spring. Lovely. Yes. So let's get into it. So what should parents be doing, and how should they be worried about the toxins in their kids' foods? And then what should they do so they can avoid that?
One of the things I've been really adamant about is busting the myth that organics have to be more expensive than conventionally sourced foods. Mm-hmm. A lot of parents tell me, well, I would buy organic, but it's so expensive. I point out to them that most of the staples today that are organic are about the same price as conventionally sourced. I'm talking carrots, lettuce, celery, apples. These are all, when I go online to buy or into the store, I find them very competitively priced. So I find it very easy to shop for the organics. And you'll see the difference in your health and your kids' health right away when you do this. And I want parents to look out for that. With the reduction of organophosphate pesticides in your children's diet, they will become better behaved. They will be able to think better. Their cognitive abilities, their language abilities, their learning abilities will all improve.
Amazing.
Because
their mood.
What parents don't know is every slice of that bread that they bring home, if it isn't organic, and we know at the Healthy Living Foundation, because we've done the testing and reviewed monitoring reports, will have organophosphate pesticides. So I tell parents, go ahead and buy the organic bread. It's a big difference in your kids' lives. Same for all the fruits and vegetables, which are among the most contaminated with nerve toxins that do impact our kids' health.
Is this glyphosate? That's what's in Roundup? And is it still around? I know California has a lot of laws that help protect us, but is that, I mean, what you were saying earlier, they lied to you. So is glyphosate still around? Is it still being used as a quote unquote weed killer, but also it's killing our population too?
Yeah, glyphosate or Roundup, as it's known commercially,
Yeah.
is appears widely in conventionally grown foods. That's another reason why
And
organic.
it's not outlawed. I thought
Its uses are being encouraged. There's nothing restricting its
Really?
use throughout the United States that I know of, and I'm pretty up on these
I
things.
would think so,
Debbie.
yeah.
It's come under a lot of scrutiny. There are lots of lawsuits because people get cancer from applying it in their gardens, and farm workers, and it shouldn't be in our food either because of its potential toxic harm.
Yes. I
But,
thought there
but it's still being detected
It is.
widely in our foods.
Wow. So we have to get rid of that because and this is the reason why you wrote the book, to inform people and let them know that organic, these are all gone. These pesticides are gone, correct?
Well,
If you buy organic?
let me put it to you this way. Nothing is perfect. Organic is a lot better for you. The studies show that when kids go on organic foods, the levels of their organophosphate pesticides in their urine go to zero or non-detectable.
That's
So organics are
amazing.
not perfect, but they're
No.
a really good choice. That's a good place to start. Don't fall for the myth that they're more expensive. I'll just give you an example. One of the top 15 dirty foods that the Environmental Working Group has designated that we were talking
Yeah.
about, strawberries. So organic strawberries can be more expensive. The soft-skinned fruits tend to have the most pesticides sprayed on them. So you're talking your raspberries, your blueberries, your strawberries. But what you can do is go buy the 3-pound pack of frozen organic berries. Those will be about the same price as the fresh, conventionally grown berries, but they're organic. Put them on your kids' non-fat or yogurt and use them for other desserts, and your kids will love them, and you get a really good food that your kids
Yeah.
will
Berries
will
are
enjoy,
huge. Yeah.
but they won't get the Captan and the other fungicides that are on the conventionally sourced berries.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I am very, I've been conscientious of this since my kids were small, and my kids are in their late 30s now. But, they're so luscious and beautiful to see them all fresh in the store, especially even at the farmers markets. But if it doesn't say certified organic, I will not buy those berries. And they don't look quite as plump and beautiful, but they don't have all the crap on them either. So that's, that's part of the reason why things are sprayed on our fruits and vegetables, to make them look more appealing for you to buy. And, so it's really it's a hidden hazard that is tricking us. So we have to be smart. And even if you're paying a few dollars more, you're going to save a lot in the long run. I've always say this to my clients. Because there's that argument to buy healthy, to cook healthy, to go out and eat healthy is more expensive. True. But what's really expensive if you get sick and end up with an autoimmune disease, a cancer, heart trouble, a metabolic condition like diabetes. That's where it gets really expensive, between doctors and medications. So you have the power. Again, we have the power to make the best difference we can. Nothing's perfect, like you said, but to make the best difference. I think it's really important that people read labels and go organic. So important. It's the first step I talk about with my clients, because they go for pretty shiny things.
Well, studies show that when you do go organic, you will have a lowered risk of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Organics during pregnancy mean fewer complications.
Mm-hmm.
A child born with lower risk for obesity and diabetes. So there are a lot of studies now that have been done that show when persons consume organic diets, they do tend to be healthier.
Yes, and they do have some. I mostly if I do go to a market and it's all health food type markets. I won't name brand places right now, but and then I try to buy organics. But most of these markets carry fruit and vegetable wash too, that are made like with lemon and vinegars, and it's like a natural thing. You can even make them home. You can Google how to make it yourself and just put it in a spray bottle. But even you still want to wash some residue or dirt or whatever off your fruits and vegetables. These washes are just in addition to, and I've been so cognizant of this since my kids have been born, that it has definitely they've caught the bug, in terms of doing that for their children as well. So important, and keeping people informed on this stuff. Tell us more about your forthcoming book and what else there's environmental things that we should be aware of, and, heavy metal toxicity, all kinds of the environment in our home, how we can take control there, because that's the one place I think we have a lot of control is when we're in our own home, correct?
We can control so much of our environment, and I do discuss what to do for your home. Cosmetics are another big area that I go into in the book, and that's probably important to talk about because
shiny, beautiful things again.
Not
us.
Not only for our kids, but for pregnancy, for couples who are about to have kids. We talked a little earlier about phthalates in Johnson's baby shampoo. One of the interesting stories I tell in Raising Healthy Kids is I was writing it during the pandemic. And I spoke to a lot of hairdressers, and as a group, they were having great difficulty in carrying pregnancies to completion or even getting pregnant. And there were higher rates of miscarriage. And they worked as hairdressers in New York and Florida and elsewhere in the country. But during the pandemic, there was a baby boom among these hairdressers. And I asked why, and they said, and one of them told me, well, because we can't go in now and do our job, we're not being exposed to so many toxic chemicals anymore. So we're able to have kids now. And I spoke to one hairdresser for Not So Pretty, the Max documentary that I appeared in. And she wanted to have a family, but she had been using Diva Curl products, which are for curly-haired people, and this is a whole category of hair care for ethnic and all sorts.
They're in your local drugstores all over the country.
And some of these products are loaded with plasticizers, but what we found in the Diva Curl products was they were loaded with compounds called quaternium compounds, or quats, Q-U-A-T-S, quats. These are used in products for the African-American market and the ethnic curly-haired and kinky-haired market because they help to hold curls and they're water-resistant. The problem is those same quats are the main disinfecting chemical used in Lysol spray and hand washes to kill germs and bacteria. So what manufacturers are doing is they're loading their products up with chemicals that actually harm reproductive ability. There was a study done on the quats that found that the ones being used, for example, widely in hand washes and in our cosmetic products were rendering lab animals infertile. So
proof.
One of the things I tell parents who are trying to, or prospective parents who are trying to have a family is, watch what cosmetics you're using because you can really overload on some very harmful ingredients and they can actually impair your fertility, harm your sperm, and just make it impossible to have a family.
Yes, that's really important. And you said something about adding to the load. I think, because there's this thing about it not being tangible. You can't see it. It's not an instantaneous illness or a thing that you can put your finger on. So, but when you start loading up, it becomes very dangerous. And then all of a sudden a disease comes up or you can't get pregnant and you don't realize this might be something you're doing that you can undo, and then everything will open up again because you've loaded up. You've been loading up over a period of time because, I know as being a woman, we find our products that we like and we rebuy them. And that's what the manufacturer wants you to do. So, and if it's not a good product, if it's not good for you, it can become toxic. And that toxic load is, a really scary thing. I think one of the things that people can do, I have an app on my phone that's called Think Dirty. And I know there's other apps out there. You can probably allude to this better, but this app, what you do is you not only should you read what's in something, but we're always not informed. We're not quite sure what's chemically bad, what's right, but the app has already done all the research for you. And you scan the barcode, and then as long as it's in their inventory, it will come up and it will go, it goes from green to yellow to red. So you can see how toxic that product is. And then it will give you the details about that product if you keep scrolling down. And if it's a product that isn't in that particular app's inventory, they'll do the research because you brought it to the forefront. I love this app, and I tell my clients to use this particular app. Do you have other ways that people can figure out what's right, what's good, what's bad for them?
Well, that sounds like a great app.
It is. Think Dirty.
Yeah. In my book, Raising Healthy Kids, we go through each cosmetic brand, for example, and show you which brands are going to be clean. And there are plenty of clean brands. Generally, if you find a brand that's clean, it will be clean throughout the product line because there's a certain philosophy animating it. Mm-hmm. So, we will go through cosmetic brands like L'Oreal, Lancome, and Maybelline, CoverGirl, and tell you if they're going to be safe or not. And so, it's that sounds like a great app, and
it is.
Just get that information, folks.
Yeah, or any app. But there are apps out there, and this one, and actually the show that I did with the Healthy Living Guru, she's the one who told me about the app. I believe it was her. And it's so simple because if you go out there and you have a favorite makeup product or line, you just scan that barcode, and whether I won't buy anything that doesn't come up green because I know they have done the testing on it. So they've already done, whoever did the testing, they've put it in their catalog. So I recommend that to my clients because again, a lot of times when people think about living healthy, they think about exercise and diet, but it's so much bigger than that. There are toxins everywhere in our makeup, in our environment, in our cleaning products. What sponges are we using? What are we, what are we washing our clothes and drying our clothes with? I'm very conscientious of that. So I'm taking the percentages of getting sick way down. In any kind of illness, like you said, that's what you see. You see those numbers in kids whose parents are conscientious and are not giving them food that is tainted. It's so important that people be their own advocates and understand that it's out there that you can take control in your own space. Because I think the hardest thing is where we don't have control, like our air quality. It's such a beautiful day today, but usually we're in smog here in LA. You can see it when you fly in, and many cities are like that. LA is probably one of the worst. I have no control over that, and you and I are LA kids. We were born and raised here. Do you remember when we used to have smog alerts, and we weren't allowed to go out for recess? We had to stay inside because it was so toxic and dangerous, and it was before we had unleaded gas. And that's what led to unleaded gas. So we can make a difference if we show that this is where the direction we want to live our lives in, and not buy the products that are harming us and buy the products that are helping us. That's where the products that are harming us will make their change or go away altogether. Don't you think?
Well, we have made a huge difference to our shopping habits. It's also, we were talking about cosmetics, but and air quality and how uncontrollable it is. I'll just give you a little story though of how I've dealt with that in a particular situation. In order to make sure Raising Healthy Kids, my new book, could be used by anybody, I made a lot of trips to Cancer Alley, which is a region in Louisiana that stretches from Baton Rouge to New Orleans. It's about 85 miles along the Mississippi River with about 150 to 200 chemical plants.
Oy.
And I went there, and I've been there many times now. My nonprofit is working with some nonprofits there. We wanted to make sure that whatever was written in Raising Healthy Kids could work for any budget and any situation. One of the things we discovered there were the kids at a certain school in Reserve, Louisiana. The school is called the Fifth Ward Elementary School. It's very close to a plastic plant that manufactures neoprene. So when you buy your little koozies and your tote bags and your wetsuit, just keep in mind there are kids very nearby who are breathing a chemical used to make that neoprene. It's called chloroprene, that is carcinogenic, and it's being found at up to about 70 times above the legally allowable limit. The kids at the school breathe it every day. Ugh. I went to the school. We went there with some other nonprofit groups and Ecos, the cleaning company. And we said to the principal there, what can we do to help? There's a Department of Justice lawsuit going on trying to curb that plant's emissions. But in the meantime, you have 325 kids who are suffering. What can we do? So our nonprofit, together with Ecos and several other nonprofits, have started shipping high-efficiency particle air filters to the school.
Air filters.
And they will be in every classroom within the next month. Those 5 to 7 hours that the kids spend at school will mean the cleanest air they will breathe all day. So we can do something about pollution. In this case, we have one of the worst situations in America. And we're getting those kids the high-efficiency particle air filters they need to cut down their exposure to chloroprene. Now, take that to a personal situation.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Studies have found that, Mom, when you're pregnant, if you will filter your air during your pregnancy, your child will be born with 2 or 3 more IQ points than children whose air isn't filtered.
I love that.
So we need to be aware we have agency, even in situations that are dire.
Yeah. Yes, which is great. And then you being an advocate for people who can't advocate for themselves, in this instance, little children, they must call it Cancer Alley for a reason. These kids must have all forms of cancers if they're exposed to these chemicals. I would imagine that's a high rate if that's why it's called that.
Folks in Cancer Alley get cancer and other diseases too soon in their lives.
Yes.
And the reason is,
the
as you were talking
load.
about, our cancer rates are going down in age every year now because our kids are being more and more exposed, and by the time they're in their 30s and 40s, their breast tissues or their brain tissues have been so exposed they're vulnerable to getting cancer.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes decades, and then it starts.
It's scary, but you do have control. So what's the best source for people to go to see where should they get the right HEPA filter? Where should they, I just mentioned the app for clean products, for cosmetics and shampoos and cleaning products. That's what this app is for. Where can people get all the information across the board, the best places they should be, the best products they should be looking for?
Well, I can't recommend any single product, but in Raising Healthy Kids, I really go into great detail about how to make your home safe. And I talk about what to look for generally for a good high-efficiency particle air filter. And just point out that these are not expensive fixes for your life. A small room can be filtered for maybe $30 or $40 with a good HEPA filter. The ones we're buying for the school run between $60 to $100. It's a very worthwhile investment.
I have a very expensive one in my house. It's been there for a while, and it's a good investment.
Yes, it is, and the same thing for your drinking water. A lot of folks think, well, I can't filter my water because I haven't tested it, or they think, I can't filter my water because it's going to be too expensive. But what I found is that you can put a faucet filter at home, a filter right on your faucet. You can buy one for about $25 online, and it will reduce contaminants by about 90%.
Mm-hmm.
That's $25, and then you don't have to buy all that plastic bottled water. One of the things that really gets me is these municipalities where the water is contaminated by organochlorines and other types of pollutants. So the public officials say, well, or the companies that are polluting say, well, we'll get you bottled water in plastic containers. But that's part of the problem because we're using more plastic. So I really want to...
Which is also going into our system.
Right, and the plastic sheds from the bottle and actually goes into the water. New studies are showing that. So I really advise you, even if you don't have the money to do the testing, filter your water, because there will be something in it that you want to get out. Even if it's a legally allowable contaminant that was used to disinfect your water, that will become a carcinogen if it's not removed. So filter your water, and you can do it for under $100.
Yeah, easily. I have, I use a filter called Zero Filter.
That's a really good one.
It's a good one. It's a high-end one. It's not that expensive. My filters last me, they're about $50 a filter every 2.5, 3 months. I drink a lot of water, half my body weight in ounces every day, minimum. So, and I keep a flask with me, a glass bottle all the time. So it's really important for me, my family, everybody around me, and I recommend it to everybody I work with, all of my clients, all of my friends, anybody who will listen. But what I was asking, is there a website that people could go to for this kind of information that would say, here's the HEPA filter, here's the zero, that gives you like a list or a rated list of things that maybe these are the best products, or stay away from this certain manufacturer, or this, when it comes to cosmetics, let's say. I thought there was a website, I just forget what it is, where you can go and everything is right there telling you sort of the good and the bad.
Some of the websites I use are Consumer Reports, which I think is one of the very best for rating, as you were saying, water filters, rating air filters, and it will tell you which ones work, which ones they didn't feel work. Another great site to visit that we've been talking about is Environmental Working Group, or EWG.org, which has a lot of really good information.
They do.
And
I went to their, they had a convention this year here over the summer in downtown LA, and I went and listened to their speakers. It was really quite enlightening. It was great.
I think one of the sponsors on your show is Green Living Gurus.
Yes.
Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I think they have a great website too, by the way.
Yeah, and I think she has a link of places and that's her line of products actually. So she's created her own line.
Yeah, and there's a lot of independent information on that website too that I have used myself.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So there's resources is the point. There are resources out there to make a change. In the time we have left, which is not even a minute, how can people get a hold of your books? What are the names of how many books have you written? Like 3 or 4, right?
Oh, yes. Well, Raising Healthy Kids, How to Protect Your Children from Hidden Chemical Toxins. You can Google or put my name in, David Steinman, in the title, Raising Healthy Kids, and it will show up all across the internet. You can buy advanced copies now. If you want some information, really good information on your diet, I recommend my book, Diet for a Poisoned Planet. I wrote the Safe Shopper's Bible, Living Healthy in a Toxic World. Those are my books. They're all available on Amazon.com and other independent booksellers and Barnes & Noble.
And what's your website? Tell people how they can go to your website and read more about you and what you're doing, all the amazing things that you're doing for us. So
I encourage folks to visit me on Instagram at DavidSteinman_author, at Twitter on by David Steinman, and my website is davidsteinman.us. And I do share a lot of my picks for best products, worst products. I talk about my journalism, the folks I'm working with, and I try to put a really human face on what we're doing so we can see our actions have consequences, sometimes bad, but sometimes really hopeful and great ones.
Well, on that note, I'm going to ask you to leave us today with a final word. It can be a word, a phrase, just a final thought for the audience.
Oh, hope. Hope.
Hope is your word.
Yes,
There is
yes.
hope. It's not all that. It's not all that hopeless. There is hope. We take control, and we can educate ourselves. You're helping people to do that. And then you can make those small changes. I can help you with that. Get a hold of me for that, because I do this every day with my clients and help them with everything that's around them to become more aware of living a healthy life. And on that note, I want to say thank you to you, David, for coming in today and being part of this discussion. We want to keep the discussion going. So to you, I say leave a comment, ask us a question. Tell us what you thought of the show today. Go to my Facebook page, Balanced Life by Debbie, or my YouTube channel, DEBI. And we would love to hear from you. But in the meantime, I want you to keep going out and finding those conversations that connect to a healthier you. All right, bye, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And David, thank you so much. 2 weeks. Bye.